Alright, everybody, welcome back to the Spiral Podcast. This is the Friday episode where I just talk about anything college football related. And today I'm going to be talking about why each Big Ten team can and can't win the championship. So, a little backstory. I saw this idea, but for NFL teams one day, and I thought it was a really good idea. So, I'm just going to use it for Big Ten now. Maybe other teams. So, if you want me to do it with other college football teams or conferences, then let me know, and I think that would be fun. So, yeah. But, yeah, I think, obviously, some teams in the Big Ten probably aren't going to be able to win the championship, but I'm going to base it off, like, if there's a reason why they could, I'm going to say that reason, and if there's a reason why they can't, I'm going to say that also. So, let's get right into it. For USC, I think why they could is because they have Lincoln Riley at head coach, who's been in the program for a while, and he kind of has experience with the team. So, and also he's won with the team. So they got that going for them for sure. And then why not is because they have a pretty hard schedule. If you look at it, it's tough. They got to play a lot of great teams, and also they don't have a quarterback that's a first overall pick in the NFL draft. So that's gonna be hard to get over. Not having a Caleb Williams at QB, and that's probably why they might not. For Washington, they showed last season that it's possible for them to win. Most people thought that they were not really going to be anything. I don't even know if they were ranked top 25 preseason, but they really climbed their way to the top, and they show that they can win. But why they might not be able to is because this is kind of obvious. They've lost a lot of talent in coaching staff. They lost Michael Penix, Kalen DeBoer, who was their head coach, and Roma Dunze. I mean, those are like the three main people on that team right there, that they're all gone. So it's going to be hard to get over that for sure. For Ohio State, why they could is because they have a great recruiting class and returning players. A lot of their starters last year stayed, and then the extra guys they've brought in have been able to elevate the team, I believe, to make them a championship contender. And why they might not be able to is because Ryan Day is scary, and just the coaching in general, there's a lot of new guys on the coaching staff. And another thing could be Will Howard and or the O-line. O-line is a little scary too, not going to lie. So that's probably why they could lose. For Michigan, why they could is that they just came off a natty, and they have, the attitude to win. They just experienced it. But also, some people might not have experienced it, which is kind of why it's their negative. Is because, they lost Blake Corum and Jim Harbaugh and J.J. McCarthy. Those are those guys that essentially won the national championship. They also lost some O-linemen, so it's going to be hard for them to bounce back after that. It's going to be interesting. I don't think Michigan is going to be able to repeat just because of how much talent they've lost. For Indiana, why they could is that they have a new head coach and 3 top 10 incoming transfers on defense. And that's per PFF, by the way. And then why they might not be able to is because they have a bad offense. And, it's a hard conference for them to compete in. Indiana being in the Big Ten East all these years and continuing to play against teams like Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, even the Iowas in the West and stuff like that, it's going to be hard for them to get over. Michigan State, while they could, is that they got Oregon State's coach last year, or for this year, and then, they've got really good transfers coming in, somewhat because of that head coach transferring to Michigan State. A lot of the players are going with him. Why they might not be able to is because, they're still lacking a lot of talent, to be honest. They didn't get all the spots checked out, and they had a pretty bad season to come off of, so it's going to be hard to get up morale, and it could be hard for Michigan State next year, but at least they have a new coach, which is why they probably could. Penn State, why they could is that they have a lot of their offense and defense. They're entering their second and third year, and they're getting more developed. And why they might not be able to is because Drew Aller and James Franklin, James Franklin has got to find a way to beat Ohio State and Michigan. I don't even know if he plays Michigan this year, so like Oregon and Ohio State, whoever they play, he's got to find a way to beat them because he's kind of been owned by them for the past like 8 years or whatever. So it's gonna be tough. And then Drew Aller, on the other hand, I just don't think he's that good. I'm not too high on Drew Aller. I kind of think he's overrated, and especially for a top team like Penn State. For Rutgers, I think why they could is because they came off a great season, and they have a like top 15 or something recruiting class this year, which is really good. Why they might not be able to is that I just it's hard for me to say that they can when they haven't even been able to elevate in the Big Ten in recent years, and their team isn't still like top tier. I feel like to beat teams like Ohio State and Michigan and Penn State and stuff like that. For Maryland, why they could is that they have a solid team overall. They have a great recruiting class. They're adding another quarterback to it, which they're gonna need because why they might not be able to is because they lost their quarterback who's been at starter for probably 3 years by now. That's going to be a big loss, and he was a really good quarterback, so that gap is going to be hard to fill for them to be able to compete for a natty right after that. For Wisconsin, why they could is that they have a strong wide receiver recruiting class, and, they have a solid running back like they always do, I feel like, and they're a very well-rounded team with Luke Fickell as their head coach for his second year, which is going to be huge. Why not is that I'm worried about their QB play next year. I don't know. I'm a little skeptical about it. And they also have to play Alabama, Oregon, and Penn State. So that's a hard schedule. And then Minnesota, while they could, is that they've had a decent recruiting class. And I think they have some potential to upset a team like UNC or Iowa or Maryland or somebody like that who they might not be expected to beat. And if they can pull enough off of those, they could have a chance. But while they might not be able to, is that their O-line, I just don't think is that good. And they came off a bad season last year, and overall, they just haven't gained a ton of talent. Which if you're a team like Minnesota, you got to do to try and climb the ranks. But, I just don't think Minnesota is going to be amazing next year because of that. Illinois, while they could, is that they have, Luke Altmaier, he's shown the ability to be good. And I think Brett Bielema, when he, locks in, he can be a top coach in the Big Ten, but while they might not be able to, is that they haven't reached the amount of talent I think that they need to be able to reach a success, where they aren't just, I feel like, competing for a bowl game every year. Purdue, while they could, is that they've gotten recruits from, they've stolen, recruits from Louisville and other teams like that, even, Wisconsin, and I think that they've gotten better since last year, but it's Purdue, man. While they might not be able to, it's hard to be good again after such a bad season. I just think they lack in almost every category, which you kind of can't do if you're trying to win a championship. For Northwestern, what I think they could is that they actually had a surprisingly decent recruiting class. It wasn't amazing, but it was decent. And their head coach is going into the second year, so that's going to be interesting to see. And while they might not be able to, is that they play a hard schedule, including Ohio State and Michigan in back-to-back weeks. I mean, that is tough, man. I don't know. That's going to be hard. Iowa, while they could, is that they might have the easiest schedule that I've seen so far in the Big Ten. It's pretty easy, and that's going to help them out a lot. Why they might not be able to is because, the offense hasn't been good in so long. It's just I'm just begging to see a day again where Iowa can score more than 2 safeties and a half. Bro. They just need to score touchdowns, not safeties. Nebraska, what I think they could is that I really like their head coach, and I think they've gotten a really good QB in Dylan Raiola. I'm kind of high on Nebraska. I wouldn't be surprised if they finish, pretty high up in the Big Ten next year. I'm predicting it. Nebraska is going to be pretty good next year. Probably top of Big Ten. And why they might not be those that, they haven't been very good in the past, recent past, not past, but in the past 5 years. And, having a new quarterback at starter who's also a freshman, I believe, is going to be really tough. At least they got the quarterback, but still, it's a freshman quarterback starting for a Big Ten team who's trying to compete. That could be dangerous. So that's every Big Ten team. And why and why not they can win the championship. I want to see if you guys agree with that, leave a comment down below. Let me know. And thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.